Podcast with your hosts, Jason Balin and Ian Horowitz.
Hey, what's going on, Ian?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Not too much. Hanging out up in the office right about now. Looks like you are doing the same and got a fun topic ahead for everybody today. If this is your first time checking out the Real Estate Reserve podcast, then welcome. If you enjoy anything that you hear or watch, feel free to share your podcasts with any of your friends, colleagues, business associates, anybody interested in real estate investing. As always, throughout this show, feel free to comment any questions that you have below. This is an open forum. We obviously have a topic to discuss and to share some of our opinions and insights with you. But if you have any comments or questions along the way, you will be able to see a comment box. Feel free to comment if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn or any other platform in real time. Feel free to comment. Hey, what's up, John? Hey, guys, to you too. So feel free to comment anything that you got. And if you want to hop on the show live with us, we can get you a link and get that taken care of as well. So today's topic, what are your Thanksgiving actionable items? I feel like that was a good topic for this week and an interesting topic. So a few things. When I hear about Thanksgiving in general, the first thing that comes to mind is kind of the end of the year, the end of the business year, obviously personal year as well, but also kind of the end of the business year. And I try to look back to figure out a few things. Number one, what did I accomplish this year? Number two, do I want to continue to accomplish within the next 30 days, as well as getting ready to set our goals and a game plan into the next year of 2020 and 21. And obviously everybody's goals are different. Everyone's actionable items are different, but I don't know about you, Ian, but I always feel like Thanksgiving is a good time. It's just kind of like the gut check of like, hey, we got one more month in the year. Let's go sit down. Let's look at our goal sheet. What haven't we accomplished yet? What do we still want to accomplish yet? And maybe we didn't accomplish everything we wanted, and that's okay. But now that it's kind of a race to the finish, the last 30 days, scratch off the least important things and, use this week. A lot of people have some free time and, you can get your creative juices going when you're around potentially friends and family or yourself to figure out what you want to do to sprint forward through the end of the year.
Yeah, and I think that's how this topic came about because I'm getting ready to go do a 6-hour drive. We're not going to get into, what you believe in Corona or not, but we are headed out to our cabin in upstate New York. With that being said, I'm thinking about my 6-hour drive, and that's exactly what came up of, what can we cross off that's already been accomplished this year? Me and Dan just started talking about what's our goals for 2021, what's our budgets look like for 2021, what are the actionable items that we're going to take leading up to it. And I think you summarize it in a really great way is this next month and a half or I guess about a month, really is a great time to wipe off anything you wanted to get done in 2020 and set yourself up for 2021 and start laying the groundwork now for what you want to accomplish. And I think this goes along with a lot of the stuff that we talk about, from rolling right out of most people accomplish, finishing up their taxes right into Thanksgiving and then going into the new year. It's a great time to reflect and take action and start to, build yourself goals for the next year. And honestly, the whole year of 2020, not that, hopefully this doesn't turn into a reflection of 2020. There's been a lot of good opportunities in this year, specifically between quarantines and shutdowns and things slowing down for people to take the time to plan. And hopefully you've taken the advantage to utilize it to your benefit.
Yeah, and if you don't have any big goals set up, do it. Now's the best time to do it. Usually you can get your creative juices kind of going when you have some free time. You're away from kind of the hustle. Everyone gets stuck in the transactional deals. That's just what it is. It's very unfortunate, actually. If you're a real estate agent or a real estate investor, you own rental properties, maybe you're dealing with tenants, whatever the case is, everyone gets stuck in the day-to-day transactional stuff. And that's just not where us as entrepreneurs or business owners or real estate investors should be. We should be kind of up here with growth and vision and everything else. And don't get me wrong, I'm not stating we never get sucked down into reality and have to deal with stuff we don't want to do. That's part of it. But we do have to be proactive in order to make sure we're constantly kind of growing and fighting towards where we want to be inside each individual business. So this is the time, if you don't have them, to put your goals on paper. And in a second, I'm going to ask Ian a few goals that he had for 2020, and we'll see if he hit those goals or not, and then maybe some 2021 goals. But I will tell you, for me, typically the way that I try to break things down is I try to do 4 very large goals every year, right? Bigger goals, typically 1 per quarter. And a big goal is not like, hey, I want to, close on this many deals or something like that. I'm talking about like, hey, I want to revamp my entire, content marketing and rework everything from start to finish and then launch that. Or, I want to finalize a book and launch that new book, or whatever the case is, right? Like big goals and, something real, not creating a system, hiring employees, whatever the case is, like a big goal. So usually the way that we have it set up is we have 4 very large goals that we do. And then month by month, we kind of break those down and try to get to the end line. And we obviously have individual monthly goals that are smaller, individual weekly goals that are smaller, individual daily goals that are smaller. But I'll tell you, one of the best things that I got out of not our last business coach, but the business coach before that was a few different things. Doing something called like a trailing 12 months, as well as creating just gigantic goals, something that you might not even think you'll ever accomplish, and then working yourself backwards, right? So a gigantic goal could be like, not something in 20 years from now. That's too far away from now. Stuff changes. But I'm talking about like 5 years from now, and then work back to 2.5 years, then 1 year, then 6 months, then 3 months, then 1 month, then 2 weeks, then 1 week. And you put a goal like that on paper, it becomes a reality very, very quickly, and a lot quicker than we would have ever expected. Inside Hard Money Bankers, we hit our 5-year goal within a 2-year period. And our 5-year goal, when we had started that, was not unthinkable, but it was a big, outrageous goal that we hit. But just because you set those goals and you work backwards, and you have a map, and you have kind of a time capsule to help you do that. I mean, think about it. Like if you're watching or listening right now, like think about where you were last year, and then last Thanksgiving compared to where you are this Thanksgiving. How many more units have you acquired? How many more systems or processes have you created? How much more has your net worth grown? Whatever the case is, right? Think about it. Think about how much you've accomplished over the last year, or last 5 years, or last 10 years, or last 15 years. Like, typically it's super, super surprising. How you've grown personally, how you've grown inside your business, how you've grown financially. So, think about, whenever you kind of have a rough time, think about where you were 5 years ago compared to where you are today. And then think about where you could potentially be 5 years from now, right? I mean, there's a lot of people that might not have had any units 5 years ago, and they might have 40 units right now. Now imagine the resources and the capital and the other stuff you have access to now, how much more you can grow. So I don't know. It's a topic that I try to keep front of mind on a regular basis, because it's real life. And, unfortunately there's nothing sexy about growing a business one day at a time. Right. But slow and steady wins the race. And you wake up and it's a year from now, or 2 years from now, or 3 years from now, and you see it's just a gigantic growth.
Yeah. And I think it's hard to keep track when people are in doing the daily grind and people don't take the time to step back and reflect. And people do it in all different ways. I think, honestly, one of the biggest outlets for me and Jason is jumping on here and talking about stuff that we've accomplished just over this past year, between case studies and other stuff. And it's not bragging. It's just conceptualizing stuff that's been completed. I know some people do very well with journaling. Other people do well with masterminds. Whatever it is, you need to find an outlet to get out and discuss what you've accomplished over the past year, past day, past week. Every day, me and Dan sit down for the most part and say, okay, well, what do we get done today? What do we got going on tomorrow? And it keeps us on a path to getting all of our goals hopefully completed. So with that being said, I think something, not only just on reflection, and it's interesting that this topic's come up, but, there's new people out here. Everyone's in a different stage in their investing careers. What's something that someone can do, while you're away on Thanksgiving? And I think one of the most important things you can do is reflect where you've been and where you want to go. And now's a great time, especially with if you're doing it with friends and family, or if you're doing it via Zoom, however you may be communicating on your normal Thanksgiving. now's a great time to say, man, I went back home to visit my parents for Thanksgiving, and I really reflect on everything that I used to do in the past, and look where I am today. And it's a good way to come back to reality. And by knowing where you've been will allow you to continue to go forward. So
yeah. So okay, go through a few goals that you hit this year. I'm curious. Goals that you had set previously. That potentially you hit, or it might not have been a goal that you wanted to hit, a goal that you were planning on doing earlier in the year, but then something that said, you know what, let's rework our goals, or let's rework something and try to try to go full steam ahead to hit it.
Yeah, I would say one thing that we've done this year that we are still in the process of accomplishing. The good news is we got about 30 days left. But we just launched new property management software, and this is the second iteration that we've tried this year alone because our first solution was not the right one. But our goal was to launch a property management software to streamline our process, to ultimately be able to insert someone else in our process, which we found the right employee to insert into our process. Now it's a matter of having the right software, and we're in the process of continuing to launch that. And, it was a goal that we had. We thought we resolved the issue earlier in the year, and it turned out to be an absolute nightmare, and it wasn't the right solution. And we've gone back to the drawing board to find the right solution, and now we're relaunching with Appfolio, and we're on the move, and it seems to be going in the right direction. And it helps when you have the right people in place, which was one of the many small pieces to the goal that we needed to accomplish to keep this goal moving forward. So
yeah, and also in general, as you grow, the snowball in context is something that just continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? Like, we're both big fans of Warren Buffett's book, The Snowball. I have his quote, many quotes in my office related to it, but just related to the snowball and related to as you get momentum, and that's why the word momentum is so important, right? You grow, you get momentum, and not that you're unstoppable, but you start off right and you hire an employee, and then you do a few deals, and then you hire another employee, and then you create a system, and then you get a software, right? Like, it all kind of takes, it's kind of baby steps, and business is baby steps. So as far as I'm concerned, it's just baby steps. It's not like all of a sudden I'm going to go wake up, I'm going to go ramp up, hire 5 more employees, do this, do that. I don't see that. I'm not stating that other people don't do that. I'm all about kind of slow and steady wins the race over time. But you guys are at a system now. It's like, hey, if a 50-unit portfolio comes in, I have the capacity, I have the resources, I have the knowledge, I have the vehicle that I can put that in there, right? You're able to widen your scope, widen kind of your range of scope just because you have a bigger vehicle. For instance, if a real estate investor came to us and said, hey, my private lender just fell out, I typically do 20 deals a year. Can you handle adding that to your portfolio? Sure, I can do that for you. Can ramp up to whatever you need on the deal. I have the vehicle in place because we've grown with it slowly. We've hired employees. We've put systems in place. We've done all that. So again, it doesn't happen overnight. What we might have not been able to accomplish 5 years ago, I might be able to accomplish today.
Yeah, and I think something very key to this point is I don't want anyone to take away from what we're discussing is that bigger is better, and you need employees, and you need this, you need that. I think Jason just hit the real key word here is it's about having the right system. There's plenty of one-man band operations out there that they're just very systematized people who are able to accomplish a lot of goals and a lot of tasks because they have the proper system in place. So when we're talking about this, it's not that you need employees or you need specific vendors. You just need to have the right system in place to intake the properties or intake whatever you're working on to be able to spit it back out on the other end in a very efficient period of time.
Based on what you currently want, though. Everybody thinks bigger is better. You have no idea how many people I talk to. I probably 4 to 5 people a week that apologize that they're not full-time real estate investors yet. I'm like, that's okay. You don't need to be a full-time real estate investor. As soon as you become a full-time real estate investor, your day-to-day operation really, really changes from in the past when maybe you were flipping a house or two or you owned a few rental properties. It's a different game. It always starts step one of figuring out what you want. And I'll tell you, most of the best real estate investors and the best flips that I see are ones that it's either a part-time real estate investor that has another full-time job, or they only do a few deals at a time, and they perform excellent and are involved in kind of all aspects of it. So, Jonathan comments to settle his first deal. That's his big actionable item. Hopefully by the end of the year, hopefully you can get to that. How is this year with everything going on with the hard money lender? With the hard money lender for real estate, not fully understanding the question. If you want to clarify, happy to answer that. But us as a hard money company has been fine. Business as usual, status quo. I think most real estate investors have felt the same, right? Maybe there's a lack of inventory for a real estate investor, so they're spending more time and trying to be more profitable on their current outstanding deals, right? It's you kind of go both ways on it.
And I think a key point to that there is to relate it back to the conversation is if you didn't have the systems, you didn't have the goals, you didn't have whatever in place, you wouldn't be where you are today. You couldn't handle this bump in the road, right? I think we all said that for both of us. I know specifically Kern has gone very well for us. I know I've done some of the biggest deals that we've had, but all that goes back to years of planning, years of goal setting, years of accomplishing the tasks that we set out to do to put us in a position to be able to handle this type of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't move too quick. So many people. How many times have you seen a real estate investor that flipped a property or two and then they think they're an expert, and then all of a sudden they'll go buy 10 more properties? They'll fail. Like it's very challenging. Not 100% of the time they won't, but like it's a different business, kind of slow and steady. And listen, everybody wants to ramp up as quick as possible. I get it, but like 1 + 1 does not always equal 2, right? If you're used to making $20,000 on a flip and you do 4 flips a year, well, all of a sudden, if you start doing 20 flips a year, you're not making that $20,000 a flip anymore. It's just unfortunately not going to happen. It doesn't scale 100%. Now, that being said, maybe you're making $15,000 a flip. So I'm not stating that that's not a good business model to continue to do that, but slow and steady wins the race. I mean, one of the things that we've talked about multiple times is, think about the seesaw, right? And the seesaw represents education and execution, right? So on one side, you have somebody who learns. They know everything on paper about this business, but they've never taken the plunge in order to do a deal, right? They're not, unfortunately, not going to get anywhere, right? On the other side, you have somebody who's just a doer and they're executing, and they're just out there putting properties under contract and grinding and doing whatever they can with deals, but they don't know what the hell they're doing. Well, all of a sudden, they're going to get themselves in trouble, right? It's a seesaw. You learn, you execute. You educate yourself, you execute. You learn, you do. You learn, you do. I mean, that's how we do it kind of every given day. You take some risks, minimal risk here, minimal risk here. Like, that's just part of it. But I don't know. I mean, one of the things we kind of talk about on a regular basis is that, obviously real estate investing is not a get rich quick scheme. Can you make a decent hit of money, on a flip or on a project? Sure, you can, but slow and steady wins the race. It just does. It's just doing constant deals over and over and over and over and over and over and over on a regular basis until you get to where you need to be. And it's again, execution's important, but understanding how you're doing it. And we're all kind of in uncertain times right now as well. Like, when is that day going to happen that we thought would have happened years ago, where the market hits the top and then it kind of starts going down a little bit? Who knows? Could be today, could be in years from now. I don't know. But if you have a proper system and a proper setup and being responsible and doing things the right way, a little dip in the market, maybe even a big dip in the market, won't nearly affect you as much as it could others.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And so what's I know we haven't really outlooked for 2021, and I'm sure we'll do an episode on that coming up, but what's a goal that you're setting out to do for 2021, and what's your how are you managing that task to achieve your 2021 goal?
So a few different things. I haven't outlined everything yet for 2021. I mean, I'm still finalizing all my 2020 stuff, and I'm really, really close with all of them, and they're obviously all going to be done by them. I mean, all of my stuff, I've got about 4 pretty good sized goals that will all be accomplished within the next 30 days. Yeah, I'm in the office doing some launching prep for one of them. So like one of them is going to be next week. They're all going to hit right at the end. So my mind isn't set 100% on 2021 because obviously I have to wrap my brain around what I want to do first before I commit to it. And after it goes on paper, like I'm pretty strong at hitting it. But potentially we are going to be expanding into another market. And that takes time and energy and resources to do. We've already identified a market, and that'll probably be the whole first quarter of 2021. And that isn't necessarily meaning like I got to take all my energy and time to do that, but there is going to be some obviously brain power and things to be set up to do that. So that would probably be one of my 2021 goals, is to get ramped up in this certain market.
Nice. And do you have like a set action plan, or is that something that you need to, is every market different, or is it just a plug and play system?
It's not 100% plug and play, but I mean, I have an idea, the person, the market, and kind of our process to get it ramped up. And I've done that on three other occasions. So we're pretty much set up to do that. And I have the mechanism, machine, the vehicle to do it. Obviously it's just not going to happen with anybody or at any place or any time. But when the right opportunity does come up that works, I have the vehicle in order to place it.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at a text message from our buddy Terry. He's wondering if you guys are still out of the office. So I guess obviously he's not watching this video, so I'll have to send him a picture of this video. But no, that's good that you have if you have the system just to plug and play. It's a matter of that took years of work to get all that stuff in order. So now you can have goals, and your goals are more easily accomplished. So that's super exciting.
Well, it's the same thing. It's the same thing with Terry. It's the same thing with everybody. The reason Terry posted that is because I started the video and said, I'm in the office today.
Oh.
But whatever. It's all right. Dang. Well,
sorry. We're talking about setting goals.
I know why. Because in general, when we started, we only did DC, Maryland, Virginia, areas that we were very comfortable with, the DMV and the Baltimore area. And if you were like, a few years in, hey, do you want to expand to Philadelphia? It was like, no, we don't live in Philadelphia. It's just not an area that we know, not an area we're comfortable in, not areas we have resources in. So things grow. It's the same as you. A few years ago, if you were offered that 76-unit White House building that we talked about, you would have said no. You didn't have the ability, the capacity, the resources to do it. Things change over time, right? What we don't have the ability to do, or maybe don't want to do, don't have the appetite to do right now, that might change. It just might change in the future. You never know kind of where things go, who you're going to meet, how things change. Like that's part of the deal. Like I'd like to think that both of us are pretty opportunistic, which I think is a very big key trait to have, but we also kind of know how to stay in our lane. If somebody came to me and said, hey, are you interested in I've got this really good deal, whatever. It's this really good, industrial building. You could buy it from me at $2 million. It's worth $3 million. Like that's just not the world that I live in. It's not the space. Do I think it's a bad opportunity or a deal? Not necessarily. I just don't know that space, and I stick to the areas that we know. And obviously, I'm open-minded and willing to do stuff. I mean, typically people will bring opportunities through us, and does it make sense or doesn't make sense? I mean, you can't do everything. I mean, a lot of newer business owners or real estate investors want to be the jack of all trades or think that they are. So, and they just don't know. They don't know their defined business. When we started Hard Money Bankers, we thought we could just broker loans to people. Hey, I got a deal in California. I'll broker it to this person. Like we didn't have a defined business model until you create your business model. And the best way to do it is stay in your wheelhouse. Because as soon as you start, when I talk to real estate investors and I say, oh, where are you looking for properties? Oh, I'm looking for stuff in Baltimore and DC and Richmond. It's like, you got to narrow that down. Like I know exactly within a few minutes of talking to a potential client if we can help them do a deal or not. Very, 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 very easily, because I know exactly every deal is a widget. They're the same things. They either work in our vehicle or they don't. It's that simple.
Yeah, no, it's 100% true. And I just want to, I know we got a few minutes left here, so I want to make sure that we leave. I don't want to get too far off topic from where you were, but I want to leave some guys, with some good points, some actionable items. I think something, as I'm sitting here listening to you talk and reflect on what I did for 2020 and what my goal is for 2021 as it sits here on my desk, is I think 2021 might be the first year that I'm going to utilize and pay for some services to hopefully accelerate what my 2021 goal is. And I know I've talked to Jason at length about it, but really getting outside of my comfort zone and not necessarily relying 100% on myself to accomplish a goal, but not only just the team that we have, people in our office, but actually utilizing some outside resources and paying for some services that normally I'd be so cheap and be like, well, why would I pay someone to do that when I can do it myself? I think this is the first year, as we've grown and we have more tasks to accomplish, to utilize someone else's services. So, I think that's something for people to think about, is how can you get creative? How can you, how can you get creative? How can you get people on your team and utilize them to help you advance your goal and accomplish it a lot quicker, So that's just something that I was thinking about as we're sitting here talking about this. As you can see, we're working this stuff out live in front of everybody else. So I wanted to bring that point up, and hopefully people find some value out of that.
Gotcha.
So
I got caught in the Terry Royce chat.
You got sucked in. You're sucked in. What's he saying?
Pretty much nothing important.
No. Whenever Terry talks, it's always important. But
always is or is not.
Yeah, somewhere in between. I'm a people pleaser though. So
yeah. You don't want to have any enemies.
Yeah.
Even if it's all just for fun.
Yeah. No. So yeah, man. No, it's definitely. I think now's a great time. It's a great time to reflect, talk it out with your family, talk it out with your friends. However you're celebrating Thanksgiving, I think it's a good opportunity for you to take time, start to reflect, start to get geared up for 2021, and take massive action. Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to hear from people to see what their one actionable item is that hopefully, they either have in place for the end of the year. And if they don't, then we're going to have to do a follow-up to this. So, you have some time over the next few days during Thanksgiving to come up with that, because you got no excuse. If you don't have one big goal between now and the end of the year, like that's the time to do it. Figure it out. And here's another thing with goal setting. When you put a date and a time and you actually write it down, it becomes real. Like there is nothing that pisses me off more than putting a goal on a piece of paper that I haven't finished yet, or I haven't scratched off my checklist or my notepad. So, and obviously if it's a not important goal, then it doesn't matter to you, but I'm talking about an important goal. And the best way to do it is you write that down, whatever works. Put it on Evernote, put it on your calendar, put it on a notepad, put it on a checklist. I do it different ways. Sometimes I do it on my iPhone in notes. Sometimes I just do it on a regular checklist, like, hey, to-do items, right? And, check it off day by day. You bring it with you everywhere, right? You're looking in your car, you're looking at, oh, shoot, I forgot to do this video today, or here, I do this, or I do that. So any system that works for you, there's no right or wrong, but if you don't have a goal sheet or a checklist, like you're missing out. Like you're just not going to accomplish it. And the best part about a goal with a date is this. You could give yourself a month, a week, a day, or an hour to do something. Soon as you see that due date is done, you will get that done. Typically, you can do a 30-day project within a day. If it's important to you, and we all like to procrastinate, myself included. We've got another book that we're launching, and I already got books in hand, and I've been trying to get videos and some other stuff done so we get this darn thing launched. And I'm running out of time because that was one of my end of the year goals. So
yeah, and
it's getting done.
another way to look at the goals too is, and I think you did this with the book, is the goal was to get the book, right? So you did that. That was the big rock that you had to get. I was just saying the other day is that, if you had rocks, pebbles, and sand, and you had to put it all in a bowl, and you put all the sand in first, then you put all the pebbles in, and then you tried to put the rocks in, it wouldn't fit. But then if you try putting the pebbles in and then the sand and then the rocks, it still wouldn't fit. But if you do your rocks first and then you put your pebbles in and then you put your fine sand in, it would all fit in the bucket, right? So concentrate. I think too many people get too worried about the minute of, I want 100 houses and I'm going to buy this specific house and I'm going to buy it here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And they get caught up so much in the minutia rather than just saying, hey, man, I want to get some rental houses and I want to get this under my belt and I want to get this thing going and I just want to take action. Actually, if Terry's still on here, I give him credit. He wanted to go out. He wanted to go buy storage. He didn't sit there and waste time and think about it. He just went out and bought a storage unit and he's like, shit, I like this. Off I go. And I give the guy massive credit, right? Where credit is due. So with that being said, don't get so caught up on the minutia of, exactly what Terry's talking about right now is I entered in a weight loss competition and I didn't get batteries. That was the minutia, and I forgot to get my batteries for my scale, but it's probably because I broke the scale. But don't get caught up in such a small, minute things. Think about big picture, holistic, and everything else will start to work out.
I think Terry doesn't realize that you can see these comments as well.
Oh, no, I can see him, Terry. I can see them all. So
Terry, remember you have your own podcast on StreamYard?
Yeah. So, but anyway, so we talked into a conversation about setting goals and a side conversation with Terry. But
yeah, maybe we can do it both.
So, anyway, let's think it out. We actually Real Estate Reserve Podcast has some big goals upcoming. That we are doing a special show hopefully here in January. I just put ourselves on the clock. Future information will be released here shortly as we secure all the details to it, but it'll be a really fun show coming up in early January. So look forward to that. And I hope everyone enjoys their Thanksgiving.
Yep. First, I want to give Terry a clap for finally admitting to himself that he's retired.
Yes,
we'll put that on camera. That was his 2020 goal, and he accomplished that.
Yes, he did.
This isn't the Terry Royce show, but that's okay. We're giving him credit where credit's due.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm glad he was finally able to come out publicly and admit that. So, congrats, Terry.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, we got anything else to add?
No, man, that's it. Enjoy Thanksgiving, however you may be celebrating it this year. And I guess we'll catch you guys after Thanksgiving break, and hopefully we'll have someone to interview, something to talk about. I'm sure we will catch you guys on the other side of this.
If you need anything, reach out, Jason at hardmoneybankers.com
and at
equitywarehouse.com. Yeah. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Check you later.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Reserve Podcast. Do us a favor and like, comment, and share our broadcast. It helps the algorithm and helps us spread the word too.